Okay. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? We doing good? Yo, what's up? Petter, Petterlay says raw durability. True. Um, Flame, what's up, dude? Says durability. True. What up, Izzy? Az? Comment has not been answered in the video with 3G2 don't understand. Just remind me of what it is, and then I can go over that here if you want. But basically, most of you guys know that I was on stream. What's up, Gyro Ball? What's up on the inside? Yo, what's up, Steven? Good to see you guys in here. So most of you guys know that I went live yesterday with Virhtue to address Noodles going live. What up, Six? Noodles went live to reply to our Hokage ranking video, and there's a lot that he got wrong. And here, let's move this chat box over here. There's a lot that he got wrong. And yesterday we had Virtue's not with me today. We went live, but we had some technical issues. He didn't have his normal setup, so it was kind of difficult to communicate a lot of things we were wanting to communicate. And because he didn't have his normal setup, the stream actually ended up cutting off like 20 minutes early. Like it was 3 hours and 5 minutes, but all that's been uploaded is 2 hours and 45 minutes. So what I did is I wanted to go through the stream, take notes, mark down all of the most important things that Noodles got incorrect, and then cover them here as to, correct those things. And here we can make this chat box a bit bigger. There we go. So, this is, I don't want to feel like we're like piling on. I know I said yesterday, I don't want to feel like I'm punching down. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But I do feel like, I fancy myself not just a Naruto content creator, but somebody who genuinely is trying to bring value to the community in terms of educating people on things. And whenever there's a bunch of misinformation floating around, it's hard for me to ignore. So, yeah, this is going to be basically a truncated version of yesterday's stream, a lot more concise. I've got all the scans ready. So, we're going to jump into it. Let me go ahead and share this. Yo, what up, Zara? Appreciate that, man. Let me go ahead and share this in my server. Or Spectre, actually, well, can you ping everyone? I don't know if you can. Spectre, if you can ping everyone, you should be able to because you're a mod. Then go in and share it in the announcements page, and then we can get this rolling. But what up, everybody? I'm gonna let everybody roll in for a second before we dive into it. I'm not trying to be a dick, just want to give your opinion. I respect it. I need to watch both live streams. Oh no, you're good, bro. I understand. Yeah, I appreciate you, Spectre. Okay, let's go ahead and check to make sure that's good to rock. I've got high school musical shit stuck in my head because yesterday I was watching my niece, and my lady and we threw on High School Musical too, so it's been in my head all day. I'm like, who am I? All this started with Minato versus Itachi Bait, which started on Twitter. Craziest jutsu Kakuzu can tank? It depends. He does have like basically half a mountain fall on him in the Akatsuki Hiden novel, which is impressive. And we don't even know if he's using Diamond Morph. But yeah, potentially like high end, we could say maybe a Bijou Bomb. Low end, Paw Swipe from Yugito. But alright, I have notes ready. I'm going to pull the stream up. If you guys haven't liked this stream, make sure to like the stream. I know it's an early one, but Swag Kage would be so proud with you and Virtue. I appreciate that. You know what, Bazy? Okay, let's go ahead and get this going. So, the first mistake that he makes, and I'm going to move... I'll keep the chat box up. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. The first mistake that he makes... we're all in this together, is he said I'll just play it at, here we go. By this point, has already... Oh, let me turn this up. Oh, our volume on the video is going to be quite low, I think. This is all the way up. I don't know why it's coming out so low, but yeah. Here we go. Surpassed Tobirama in raw talent, which is defined by...
Yeah, I mean, he's more talented than Tobirama, but it's kind of questionable in the ways that he is more talented. I think he's more talented in that he is able to know a lot. Like, he's called the professor, right? And he's called the researcher. He's able to know most jutsu because he can use all five nature transformations. See how it says that right here? So he can use like all 5 nature transformations. That's why he's like more talented than Tobirama. Okay, he says that Hiruzen is more... Yo, thank you, Steven. I appreciate that. Miyaboku Merchant coming through to $4.99. Thank you. All this for a ranking of Kushina victims spin. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. She is a dog. Okay, so first mistake he makes. He says that Hiruzen is more talented than Tobirama because Hiruzen knows all 5 chakra natures. Okay? All 5 nature transformations. The problem with this is Tobirama also does. That's the first mistake he makes. Bad argument. Obviously, I'm not going to say how exactly he's more talented. It's just an overall statement. But Tobirama has all 5 chakra natures. So when you make the claim... Know a lot. Like, he's called the professor, right? And he's called the researcher. He's able to know most jutsu because he can use all 5 nature transformations. See how it says that right here? So he can use like all 5 nature transformations. That's why he's like more talented than Tobirama. He's more talented
than Tobirama because he knows all 5 chakra natures, despite the fact that Tobirama also knows all 5 chakra natures. That's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 comes here in a few minutes at 22:12. I did my due diligence this time because we were kind of all over the place. I don't want to take too much time on this. But the second thing is he doesn't know... Here, I'll just play it.
Originally did stop his flame bombs, the strongest fire style in the world, meaning they're greater than Itachi's, Jiraiya's, or even...
What the hell is this from? What is this from? Is this from the art book?
Yeah, I've never seen this.
So he says, what the hell is this from? Is this from an art book?
Which originally did stop his flame bombs, the strongest fire style in the world.
That's from the anime profile guides. I'm not going to talk shit here, but if you're a content creator in Naruto and you don't know what the anime profile guides are, that's probably an issue. So they then go on to search for like several minutes
Dragonflame.
On...
I don't know where that scans from, boys. Does anyone in chat know where
I don't know where that scans from. That's what he's saying.
Like the anime.
And then they look up anime art book, go to a video of the art book that has nothing but manga scans.
What's it say?
This is anime profile guide statement. Now, you may be asking, what are the anime profile guides? Because you guys are not content creators. It's not on you to know these things. I'm very glad you asked. These are guides written by the same people who write the data books covering the anime. Now, that doesn't mean that these are inherently canon or inherently non-canon. What it means is that we have some reason to believe they might be able to be taken as canon, and I think safely can be used as supplementary material, which is how Virhtue uses them. He doesn't ever say, like, this is canon, right? He says this is probably good supplementary material. So, yeah, this is the anime profile guides. It's not an art book, so that's a mistake. Number 2, and then basically for the next,
flame bomb that hit him
like, several minutes, he just shadow boxes with himself, dunks on Virhtue for having a lot of Minato content. Continues to just, like, go over, like, kind of miss the arguments. Until we get to 34:23. It starts a little bit earlier than this, but this is when the TSO argument starts to be misrepresented. 34:23. Let's go. We'll rewind it. I'll let you guys listen to it all the way through.
Under the armpit, whenever he is, charging at him. On foot, by the way. Then a flying Jubito, adding on an additional level of acceleration by extending the TSO outward in front of him. So, like, basically the idea...
This doesn't actually demonstrate that it's, like, extra acceleration. He's just assuming that the TSO, like, accelerates faster on its own. But we actually see that the move...
No. There's another thing that gets wrong. I did not assume that the TSO accelerates faster than Jubito moves on its own. The argument is clearly, and I make it multiple times, and you'll see throughout this, because this argument covers, like, dead ass, like, 10 minutes. Yo, Tanner with the 2, thank you so much. Fax Kushina even wins a Hokage jumper. Spitting. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, those Uzumaki ceiling chains do low-key blitz Kurama. So he goes on for about, I think it's like 8 minutes on this particular argument and just misrepresents it over and over and over and over. Actually, this covers like 20 minutes now that I'm looking at my notes. So I just want to clarify the argument, and then I'm going to play his response to it so you can see his understanding of it. So the Noodles, we can debate some other time. Right now, I'm just trying to go through all of the mistakes that you made in your video. But yeah, we can talk about that. We're in the same server in Cartel, so just feel free to ping me. We have friends on Discord, I think, so you can always DM me. But there's a laundry list of things that you got wrong in your response that I need to correct. So that's what I'm doing right now. We can talk about that some other time. Anyway, so this, he didn't understand the argument. And I said in the other one, the other stream from yesterday, that you're going to basically see the difference between listening to respond and listening to understand. And this is a primary example of that. Immediately jumps to the conclusion that the argument that I'm making is, all right, make your bread, bro. I'm just saying we can debate. Yeah. Listen, we can discuss that at some point in time. I'm on set for basically all of April, and I'm preparing for a move right now. So right now is kind of a weird time, but I think May actually might be fine. So we'll talk about it more. Just shoot me a DM. Six, like you said, he's willing to host it, so we'll talk about it. That being said, I just want to get through this really quick. And then if you would like to respond to this, you're more than welcome. This is going to be a much more truncated version of what we had yesterday because we had so many like technical issues and the stream got cut off early. So that's why I'm doing this today. I'm not trying to pile on or anything. I opened this stream up by saying that. So that being said, Noodles' interpretation of what I was saying is that the TSO extension speed scales to Jubito. That was never the argument. He realizes this later on whenever he gives a train analogy, which I'll address here in a little bit as well. But the argument is Jubito moving is a velocity, right? Then the TSO extending off of Jubito is also a velocity. So you are literally stacking two separate velocities on top of one another, which means if, which I get into this in a second, the flight speed of Jubito is scalable to the running speed of Jubito, then this would verifiably be faster because there's the same exact acceleration or velocity from the movement, or at least relative velocity from the movement, and then an additional level of acceleration. That was the argument. This is his response to it. Oh, let me get over here.
And the TSO is slower oftentimes. Like, for instance, Ninetails Madara bodies the shit out of Minato and Taijutsu, but as soon as he throws his truth-seeking orb at him, the truth-seeking orb is slower than Minato, because Minato's able to just, well, maybe not slower in terms of movement, but at least Minato can teleport between before it gets to Guy.
So this is, again, just an example of Noodles listening to respond, not listening to understand, which this is something that a lot of people do. I'm sure that you guys have encountered people like this in your lives. The problem is it happens for 20 minutes. So let's see. Let's move on to 4026 is the next part I have on here. I think he says the same thing. Oh, here we go.
No.
So like basically,
Appreciate the
idea
50
is
on bad
if you have
games.
a
Always
sword
blame Mono.
and you're running at full speed, and then you jab that sword forward. You have a
Honestly,
by extending the TSO outward in front of him. So like basically, the idea is if you have a sword in your hand and you're running at full speed, and then you jab that sword forward while running at full speed, the sword would technically be covering 2 levels of distance, right?
2 levels is arbitrary. This is not a good argument.
So 2 levels of distance was kind of the wrong way to phrase it. It should be essentially 2 levels of velocity. So you're stacking 2 levels of velocity on top of one another. And then I might as well go all the way up to 5325. Let's see. Because this is where the next part that is related to this gets relayed.
Speed is indicative because he's flying. Like, what?
I don't know. They're just saying he's moving fast.
Yeah, like that's all he's saying is that I'm moving as fast as I can, and he's flying while doing it. You haven't been able to correlate the fact that
I also
he's
think
going fast because
he's
flying.
ignoring like relative motion too. Like when
Yeah.
you move on a train, for instance, when you're like walking on a train, are you walking faster than the train?
Yes, relative to the outside of the train. So if you're on a train that's going 60 miles per hour, you used a great example here, Noodles, but you just didn't understand your own example. So I understand velocity is speed with direction. But so if you're on a train that's heading northward, right? That train is heading northward at 60 miles per hour, and you're walking in the northward direction on that train at 2 miles per hour, relative to the ground and your surroundings, the train would be moving at 60 miles per hour because speed is relative to other things. Like the planet's always rotating, moving through space, right? So we judge speed based on relative surroundings. So the train would be going 60 miles per hour relative to the surroundings, but you would be going 62 miles per hour if you're walking at 2 miles per hour on a train that's going 60 miles per hour, right? Now, if you're walking in the opposite direction, so if the train's heading northward and you're walking at 2 miles an hour southward, and the train's going northward at 60 and you're going southward at 2, you'd still be moving relative to your surroundings at 58 miles per hour. That's how relative motion works. So the argument is, if you are, assume Jubito is the train, Jubito is moving at, let's just arbitrarily, this number does not matter, just light speed. Whatever you think his combat speed is, fill in the blank speed, right? Then the TSO extension is also blank speed. So if they're both moving in the same direction, and the TSO is de facto attached to his body because they follow him around, they essentially stick to him. Like, it's not like whenever he flies somewhere, the TSOs stay behind and then catch up to him. They are moving at the same speed, and then he is extending it outwards, right? So that speed of the extension would be stacked on top of the movement speed from Jubito. Meaning, if you can scale his movement speed through the air to his movement speed on the ground, this would be, more likely than not, a better reaction feat from Hiruzen than, or at least relative reaction feat from Hiruzen to Tobirama. That was the point. So for about 20 minutes, Noodles misrepresented the argument. I'm not going to attribute to malice what I can attribute to incompetence. I'm not saying you're an incompetent scaler. I'm saying you just weren't listening. But that being said, the argument that was being made on Noodles' side was shadowboxing. So that's the argument. I went through the physics of it for you. Look up, if any of you guys want to have another example of this, Hank Green on TikTok. He's a physicist. He's somebody who like makes interesting content that's like diluted towards, allowing, people who aren't physicists to understand things in simple terms. That guy had a video on this. Like the guys from the Basement Yard, Joe Santagato, and then I can't remember the other guy, they, on their podcast, were asking, like, man, I wonder what would happen. Like, if I'm in a car driving at 50 miles an hour and I throw a ball forwards at 50 miles an hour, would it be going 100 miles per hour? Yes, at least for some time, because the ball is moving with you. So relative to your surroundings, the ball would be moving at 50 miles an hour in your hand. And then if you throw it at 50 miles an hour, it would eventually encounter enough air resistance to slow it down. And then with that being said, it would slow down, but for some moment in time, it'd be traveling at 100 miles per hour relative to your surroundings. Basic freshman physics. Like high school freshman level physics is what's going on here. So again, missing the forest for the trees because not listening, attacking a totally different argument. I'm not going to say intentionally strawmanning. I think unintentionally strawmanning because Noodles didn't listen, but totally different argument. My argument is entirely sound if you can showcase that the flight speed should be somewhat relative at bare minimum to the movement speed, which we can address now at 50-50. So we'll travel back in time for a second.
To get to them, he chooses to fly. He doesn't choose to run.
Okay, so
people think, because I haven't even gone into the fact that Jubito prefers flying when he's trying to get somewhere quickly. Whenever he's trying to get away from Naruto and Sasuke or trying to get to them, he chooses to fly. He doesn't choose to run. When Madara, another
This doesn't prove it's faster. He's just
So I don't think that this scan inherently proves that he's faster in flight. Like, I agree with that. I think honestly, like there were a couple times in this video when Virhtue put a couple scans on screen that weren't directly addressing what I was talking about. But a big part of this was, like, first of all, it's a pretty long video, you know. Secondly, the people who watch Virtue's video know the scaling that he uses. So like, or videos know the scaling he uses, because like whenever he talks about, for example, the True Seeking Orb, or not True Seeking Orb, the Bijou Bomb moving relative to the Susanoo arrow, he's talked about that several times. So he doesn't feel the need to put it on screen. Probably should, you know, I try to do that, but yeah. So we have, here we go, flight speed being preferable. So if we go to chapter 674, let's keep this up. Chapter 674. Let's go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to address that one in a second as well. 674. Boom. So whenever Madara is trying to get away from Naruto and Sasuke, or trying to get to them, in both cases, when he's trying to do something quickly, he flies. He doesn't run, right? We see this as he's trying to get away from them to go snag the Kamui eyeball. He literally says, here, where is this at? He makes a statement here. He says, I need to get my other eye back soon. This is obviously something he wants to do quickly. So if his running speed was just like significantly above his flight speed, you would think that if he's trying to accomplish something quickly, unless he's an idiot, that he would like body flicker over there. But that's not what happens. What happens when he's trying to do something quickly, something he deems necessary to complete his plans, is fly. Flies over here, grab Kakashi. Right? We also see, we see this with Obito throughout the entire fight. We had that on screen. I mean, you can literally see it here. Like he fights in the air. This is where Naruto calls him fast and says that he can start to sense him a little bit better. We also see this with non-Jubi Jinchuriki. And Noodles called this a genetic fallacy. He said that me saying just because other people who fly are faster in flight doesn't mean that they're faster in flight. And uses a terrible example of 8th Gate Guy, but I'll get to that in a second. But I was just providing a consistency that when characters have the ability to fly, and they get to choose between running and flying when they're trying to accomplish something quickly. 663. Didn't mean to do that. They choose to fly. And in fact, Gaara, who can fly, 663, just outright says that he's moving at top speed in flight. So what that would mean is, at bare minimum, his flight speed in this moment, was it 663? Oh, here we go. I'm going full speed. If this is his full speed, then that means it's at least relative to his full speed on the ground, using body flicker, I would assume. So the fact is, we have multiple examples of characters who are trying to accomplish something, trying to get somewhere quickly. In Gaara's case, he's trying to save Naruto's life. In Madara's case, he's trying to get his other eye so that he can complete his whole plan, what he feels is his destiny, and they opt to fly. The guy example is a terrible example. This was 52 seconds. Or 52 minutes. Here we go.
If anything, I think Guy would be slower in the air because he's pushing off of less hard surfaces and he's not using ninjutsu to fly. He's literally just physically kicking.
Yes, you're 100% correct, Noodles. He's not using ninjutsu to fly. You know who is? Guy's not flying. He's running. Flight is inherently different from pushing off of the air with your feet. That is like the most disanalogous attempt at an analogy I've ever heard. Like, I'm not trying to be offensive, but if I say characters who have the ability to fly tend to use flight instead of running speed when they're trying to accomplish something quickly and get from point A to point B, and you say this other character who can't fly but can run on the air is probably slower when he's running in the air, that doesn't attack the argument at all. So there's that. And then we already went over the freshman level physics. I think bunch of like yap through here. The next important thing is at 122.55. And it's just a paper bombs thing. This is something he and I have talked about before. I'm not sure why this kind of like got brought up the same way again, but here we go.
A lot of people overrate him because they say, "Oh, well, he tagged Ubito 7 times in a millisecond," you know. And then there are people, yeah, and then there are people.
He acts like that's not just a possible interpretation.
So the possible interpretation, in case you guys didn't hear that, I didn't make the claim, but I alluded to the idea that it's unreasonable to assume that Tobirama tagged Jubito 7 different times with paper bombs before Jubito could react. That's not unreasonable. So, in order to make that claim, you would have to assume that he's like 7 blitz tiers above him, or that he just happened to have like 7 paper bombs in his pocket and tossed them over there. The second one's more reasonable. The first one is the one that I was talking about. If you think he can perception blitz Jubito 7 times, and that's what happened there. If that's what you think happened, right? We're talking about a moment. What is this? 6:38 or 6:39. We're talking about what you would be assuming is that he tagged him 7 different times from all different angles, by the way. These are all over his body, right? So all over his body. So we'd have to change his direction, hop around him multiple times, place those on him, and then for whatever reason, run back to this position and just jump sideways and pretend like he wasn't able to do that. Just really weird. Yeah, exactly 6. That's the argument. So the idea that that's what happened is what I was saying is unreasonable. Because you just have to assume so many things. And it's, yeah. What's more likely, and let me actually continue on with this, because you say something that you and I have talked about in call before that I've addressed, and for some reason you forgot. I don't know, but we'll keep it going.
Like a reasonable interpretation. What happened? He likes to argue, even though there's no statement of it, that he like put like regular paper bombs inside of him.
Okay, even though there's no statement of it, I like to assume that despite there not being any statement of it, that he just had paper bombs inside of himself. Naruto website birthday column on Tobirama. Planting letter bombs on revived enemies, Edo Tensei, this is on the reanimation, and having them walk behind their own lines. This is the photo that's captioned. So, by the way, what's happening in this frame is Tobirama, after doing all of this, like literally immediately after, right? Reaches inside of his chest, says, I created the Edo Tensei jutsu plus an ancillary jutsu to go with it, though this is the first time I'm using it on myself. So we know in character, whenever he uses Edo Tensei, he pre-plants paper bombs inside of them. We then see him say, tandem paper bombs is what he's talking about here, created in tandem with the Edo Tensei, and then pulls them out of his chest. You then go on to say that you think the TSOs would have destroyed them.
To like when Jubito like runs through him or whatever, he like what's it called? He like runs through him with the truth seeking orb, which might have even destroyed the paper bombs, by the way.
We know that's not the case, or let me just say it this way: it's unlikely that that's the case, because of the fact that we know he pre-preps Edos with tandem paper bombs. He reaches inside of his chest and grabs them and throws them out after saying that this is the first time he's done this with himself, and we get a direct statement saying that this is what he does. So the basis for this being, for my argument being supported, is we know that with his Edo Tensei, he pre-plants paper bombs in them. Whenever Jubito runs through him, he gets stuck with paper bombs. Tobirama then reaches inside of his chest, grabs the paper bombs, and then throws them out. I understand I understand that, like, he does say regular paper bombs, but, like, so what is the difference between regular paper bombs and tandem paper bombs? It's the seal that's on them. So why would it be weird for him? Because it also just, by the way, the Naruto website birthday column just says letter bombs on revived enemies, having to walk behind enemy lines. This doesn't say specifically tandem paper bombs. So it's entirely possible that both are there. So to assume that he tagged him 7 different times, I would say is asinine. I'm okay with the interpretation that he just had some in his like little ninja pouch and threw them. That's fine. But I think it's most likely that he had paper bombs and tandem paper bombs inside of his body, and that the ones that stuck on Obito came from his body. And then he reaches inside of his body and grabs more, which means it's unlikely, based on how he typically uses it, pre-planting them ahead of time, that the TSOs destroyed them. So that's the next one. I think we can move on. Let's see. The Konohamaru thing. R donated $2. Thank you so much for the 2. Gonna run the debate with Noodles. We might. If we do, it's gonna have to be in May. But yeah, we can talk about it. We're just gonna have to come to an agreement on like stipulations and debate structure and obviously characters. But okay, Konohamaru is the next one. I don't think this one's that bad because Noodles is openly admitted to not reading Boruto or watching it. So I kind of blame Surfbone for this actually. 126.31. But here we go.
Obviously, the best scaling that he gets is the Hashirama statements. He's compared to Hashirama so many times.
That is not his best scaling. Actually,
He's not compared to Hashirama. He's just stated stronger than him.
Like, are we just gonna ignore that? Like his best scaling, if you give him the benefit of the doubt, are the Konohamaru statements?
Okay, so I'm really excited to get into the Hiruzen translation. But before that, the Konohamaru stuff. So yeah, there's a statement in Boruto where Konohamaru says he will never surpass his grandfather. Oh, let's take this one down. Let's drag this one over. So you can surpass people in multiple ways, number one. So you would have to substantiate. And Noodles, being somebody who's never watched the Boruto anime, according to himself, I think that's what you said at the end of your stream, is that you had never watched the Boruto anime or read the Boruto manga. So yeah, I encourage you to read Boruto. I think the Boruto manga is really good. So I'm excited to hear what your dude's gonna pay to it. Damn, hey, that's actually a W. Good for you, man. Get your bag. But that being said, surpass can mean multiple different contexts, right? So we don't know what context this is in a vacuum. Right? So unless there's more context provided that showcases that he's talking about overall power, we can't even put it towards that. That's number one. Number two, why can't Konohamaru, who was not alive to see Prime Hiruzen, have an inflated version of Prime Hiruzen in his mind? Why can't it be the case that he just overrates him? Like, that's not unreasonable. I think that's basically an equal interpretation. So to say that this is good, and I'm not attacking you, Noodles, this is more so a Surfbone thing, to say that this is good scaling, which he didn't even say it was good scaling, but to bring this up and say, like, you know, this is something to be used, is just, it's a little bit disingenuous if you don't pair it with something like, oh, it can mean different things. But that being said, what's next? We have, this one's so exciting. That's the only one where he compares himself to Hiruzen, where he says he can't, he hasn't surpassed him. All right, 130.31. So these are all I'm just gonna play all of these really quick. Yeah, I'm just gonna play all these really quick. 130.31. Okay, yes. Oh, here we go. Thank God. I'm so glad I get to bring this up. So, I'm sure you guys have seen the Hiruzen data book. Here, let me go grab this really quick. Hiruzen data book statement he's referring to here. I made a community post on this very recently. Unbelievable that Noodles doesn't look at my community posts. Kind of upsetting. Okay, well, I'll just grab the translation. So the scan that he said, I don't know if you guys can see this, but verbatim it says, the strongest of all the Hokage and revered as the professor. That's the translation that's used here. Okay? So, that being said, we have... I got this translated after doing this video, so like not really on Noodles to not know this, or not really on Noodles to know this. It's not. This is one that I've like taken at face value for a long time, like in terms of believing that it was correctly translated. I thought there were some issues with it, which we talked about in the video, but I got it translated because I had a funny suspicion that maybe there was something going on. And I got it translated from Hobbs, who speaks Japanese, who's licensed to teach Japanese in Japan. And I actually got this translated myself beforehand. And after getting it translated myself, I was like, hold the fuck up. This looks like there's, like somebody got this flipped. And that's the case. So this first part in the quotations is the professor, right? This red part paired with the green says means to revere, but when followed with the potential or passive verb, these ones right here, it becomes is revered or can be revered. So the professor, revered as the strongest, these two. This blue, right here, this means successive generations. Let me go ahead and pull this up, just so you can see I'm not bullshitting with you. Successive generations. This kanji that I'm showing right here, successive generations, okay? So this is the previous generations. This doesn't even include Minato. So the strongest Hokage of the successive generations, all right? Revered as the strongest Hokage of the successive generations, right? So the original translations just straight up says the strongest Hokage revered as the professor. That's very different than saying the professor revered as the strongest of the successive generations of Hokage. Because on its face, if you take this as a literal statement, what it's literally saying is that people believe that he is the strongest of the previous generations, the ones that led up to him, of Hokage. Which, by the way, this is going to become important here in a minute. This kanji right here means generation. So, third generation. Hokage's not in here, by the way. This is the kanji for Hokage. These two right here. Fire, shadow. Generation. That's going to become really important when we get to the Hashirama thing. I understand it includes Hashirama, but the point is, this is a reputation statement. Revered as the strongest of the successive generations is different than the strongest Hokage of all time. I think we can understand why semantically, if I said LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time, like if somebody was writing a book, well, I guess it's not because they're not God. If God said, because essentially Kishimoto is God in the Naruto world, if God said LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time, that would just mean that he is the greatest basketball player of all time. But if he said LeBron is revered as or believed to be the greatest basketball player of all time, the only thing you can pull from that is that people hold that belief. That's it. So I just want to get this out of the way. That statement, because one of the other things that they say, let me see if I can find this timestamp. 132.30 or 134, one of the two. Because the argument, 132.30, the argument is essentially, oh, well, it's a direct statement. Like, it just says that's the case.
Crack shit later. We never got to see Prime Hiruzen throughout the whole thing, so there's actually nothing that makes these statements incorrect. Nothing debunks these. It's just consistent.
It's not even stated in a metaphorical way either, so I don't know how he's getting the whole idea that it's flowery, because I know that's the often quote that people use is how it's phrased, but it's not even phrased any flowery manner either. He's just like arbitrarily.
Yeah, he's the strongest of all fucking time. Everyone says so. Like, yeah. The data book says so. The manga says so. All the people.
The data book just has people believe it. I'll get into why we have good reason to believe that their credibility is questionable.
In the village say so.
Which I actually got to in the video.
Ma says,
And then you straw man that argument too.
oh, the narrator says so. They even show a picture of all of them.
Narrator doesn't say so. That's the point. If you were able to say the narrator directly states he's the strongest Hokage of all time, which is what the original translation said, then you would then be able to say, oh, this is a direct statement just calling him that. So either it's a retcon or this is the case. Now that we know that it's not a direct statement, that it never actually calls him the strongest in history, but it just says that he's essentially believed to be, revered to be the strongest of the previous generations. Not only can we not apply it to Minato, which I have Hashirama over Minato, so it's like I'm not trying to feed a Minato agenda, but we also can't directly apply it to Hashirama unless we can verify the credibility of the statements. Something you said earlier, Noodles, is eyewitness testimony is still evidence. Eyewitness testimony in court is some of the weakest forms of evidence. You can ask anybody. I mean, video evidence, photo evidence. There are multiple different types of evidence that are way better. But whenever we ask for eyewitness testimony and we judge eyewitness testimony, how do we judge it? We judge it based on the credibility of the people making the statement, the credibility of the witnesses. If the witnesses are not provably credible, if they were not there, if we can't verify that they would know what they were talking about, then we can't take their statement at face value. If a bunch of people just said, Noodles eats 50 Twinkies a day, and none of those people knew you, if there were thousands of people for whatever reason saying that, and none of them knew you, none of them could ever verify that they ever saw this, why would we take any of their opinions or their statements as credible? But if somebody like your brother was like, yeah, Noodles eats 50 Twinkies a day, it's like, okay, maybe we can believe that. So then it comes down to who's making these statements. This is a first data book statement, right? So this is applying to all, or first or second. So this is applying to all the people from that time frame. We cannot verify. One of the things that you argue in here is like, oh, Hashirama says he's the greatest, Tobirama says he's the greatest, they know he surpassed him. We can't verify that Tobirama and Hashirama ever said this or believed this. We can't verify where this reputation started. All we know is that people believe it. So unless you can establish the credibility of the people making the statement, you can't establish that the reputation is valid. That's the whole argument. So this is why that translation is like being debunked is important. Yeah. Every reader creates their own conclusion and interpretation can be super correct. Yeah. So that being said, Hiruzen never outright stated to be strongest Hokage, only stated to be revered as the strongest Hokage of the successive generations, which would, according to reputation, put him over Tobirama and Hashirama. However, we know for a fact, well, we have good reason to believe that the people making these statements might not actually know what they're talking about. So let me bring this up. Let me just back up this claim that those people probably don't know what they're talking about. We have, I didn't move this over here into this file. Let me grab this. We have not only Kabuto saying that most, like a good amount of people don't even believe that he was this strong. So we have this. What about the 7 other statements calling him the strongest? They just say that he's revered as. There's no direct statement of it. In fact, many doubt that his power was ever as strong as legends say. They just think, just like they think the Sage of the Six Paths power was also a fairy tale. So this is telling us that the people who are making these claims, who were around at this time, at least many of them, so whatever you want to say is many of them believe that these things aren't true. They don't think he's as strong as people say he was. So what that means is that these people saying Hiruzen over Hashirama don't believe how strong Hashirama was. Therefore, the opinion of the many that he's referring to is invalid. We then get a direct example of this in the manga. Let me go ahead and grab, head over to my Discord chat because I forgot to grab this. We then have, did I put it in chat here? Let me see. I don't think that I did. We have Shinobi directly saying, like, I've put it in my videos before. We have a Shinobi directly, like, seeing Hashirama and Madara fight, and he's like, oh my god, this is the power of our predecessors? Here we go. I may not have it on hand. I literally had it in the stream yesterday. Did I delete it on accident? I may have deleted it. Let's look at this. This is kind of annoying. I'm sorry, guys. I should have been more prepared. Konoha Shinobi. Sometimes I forget what I label these scans. That's on me. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So here it is. Sorry about that, guys. It took longer than I expected. So not only do we have the fact that many people believe, this statement coming from the world's greatest international spy, by the way, that many people believe that Hashirama wasn't as strong as it's actually stated, as he's actually stated to be. But then we have an example of this in the same arc of this guy, Konoha Shinobi, saying, this is the battle capacity of our predecessors? For sure, we just get in the way. By the way, this is a wood golem versus a true form suicide. This isn't even their strongest forms. So they didn't even think they were this strong. Then Hashirama gets way stronger than this when he goes into Sage mode and uses the fucking 1,000-arm cannon. So we have really good evidence to support the idea that these people making these claims that Hiruzen is stronger than Hashirama is, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. We have really good evidence to support that. So that's another mistake that was made. Reputation knowledge. Oh, they later on make, I don't even think I need to address this on the screen, but later on, I can't remember if it's Noodles or Surfbone said everyone believes this, or all Shinobi. So, one second. I'm getting a little parched. If I were to say, everyone knows who Swag Kage is. It's like, oh, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate the 5. Can you leak your Amazon order history? No. Can't be doing that. I appreciate the 5 though. Thank you so much. That helps me with my Amazon order future history though. Appreciate you. So where was I at? All Shinobi. If I say, man, everyone knows who Swag Kage is, that doesn't mean literally everyone knows who Swag Kage is. So by using, and if you look up a definition for everyone, it can mean literally every person. It can also mean a great amount of people, right? So to say that it is the case that he's the strongest because everyone believes this, and then say everyone means literally every person, obviously this excludes babies who don't have the cognitive ability to believe that. Obviously this would exclude people who weren't around for that time, so it's not literally everyone. So you already take that away. And then it's okay, so what does it mean by everyone then? Does that just mean a lot of people? Does that include Hiruzen? Can never prove that. So that's another thing, another mistake that was made. Then shadow boxing again at 146.13. Fast forward to that. 146.
Where he says it's considered, his abilities were considered fairy tale alongside that of Hagoromo, the sage of 6 paths, which they could have been attributed to.
Nate sent something to you, Noodles.
Act like
Okay, so the point there was people who are making these claims consider his abilities to be fairy tale alongside that of the Sage of Six Paths, meaning that people didn't believe he was as strong as others were saying, right? So if these people don't believe he's actually as strong as he was, they think that his exploits are fairy tale, just like the Sage of Six Paths, because he's considered a fairy tale at this point. People don't know if he's actually real. The argument is the people making these claims don't know or don't even believe what they've heard. So they would be attributing Hiruzen over Hashirama to literally a weaker version of Hiruzen, or of Hashirama. So that being said, Hiruzen literally said, so when Hiruzen says, what do you mean? You mean whenever Iruka says, like, he's the strongest of the successive generations, by the way, that kanji's there as well. Check me on that. The successive generations kanji. So he's not even attributing that to Minato either. But that being said, whenever he says that, he also says that he's revered. And then Hiruzen says, or like in his young, he makes an allusion to it being in his younger age. And then he says, like, what do you mean he once was? Like, of course, and he like smiles. Why can't he just be like playing around? Like, like he even like literally like is drawn with like an overly animated cartoonized face in that scene. So to assume that he's 100% serious about him at that time as an old man being above Hashirama, I mean, you can take that stance if you'd like. What else is there? But the point here was the people making these claims they don't even believe that Hashirama was as strong as he was. So it's not a credible source. So yeah, it wasn't that Hashirama was compared to the Sage of Six Paths, and it wasn't that it's unreasonable for Hiruzen to be compared to the Sage of Six Paths, because like if they don't even believe the Sage of Six Paths existed, then I mean sure, but just a total straw man on this argument. Like I don't know if I think it's a listening problem.
Blown away by this. And then the most damning one is the Kabuto statement, where he says his abilities were considered fairy tale alongside that of Hagoromo, the Sage of Six Paths, which they could have been attributed to.
That makes sense. Something to you.
act like that claim is outlandish when he literally has Boruto scaling. Like they were comparing.
So yeah, so you see, not even addressing the argument, because the argument is these people are not credible because they don't believe how strong Hashirama was. And then he says, you act like it's outlandish comparing to the Sage of Six Paths. That's not the argument. Okay, moving on. Dan. Oh man, this was one of my favorite ones from yesterday. I got a little bit, I got a little bit excited on this one. But
To be a Hokage, that doesn't mean that they're stronger.
It was like take him down.
Madara survived. Only Lord.
oh, here we go.
Mhm.
Like, so
Like, oh my god, Madara was revived? Only Lord First can take him down. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Okay, so, let me just finish this. Yeah, let me just let this finish.
oh my god, Madara was revived? Only Lord First can take him down.
Madara survived. Only Lord First can take him down. Old man Hiruzen's on the battlefield. It ain't Prime Hiruzen, son.
Okay, so that's the rebuttal. So Dan makes the claim that only, here we go. I'll pull up the scan. Okay, so Dan makes the claim the only shinobi who can bring him down, being Madara, is the late First Lord Hokage, right? Noodles, your rebuttal was, it's old man Hiruzen on the battlefield. Hey, brother, this is going on during the 5 Kage fight. He's not on the fucking battlefield. Hiruzen hasn't been reanimated yet, you dingus. None of them have. They get reanimated after the 5 Kage fight is over. The reanimation jutsu gets released. Then Dan flies into Tsunade's body. Right? Then he disappears. Then after that, whenever Jubito shit's going on, way after this, is whenever Hiruzen gets reanimated. He's not on the battlefield. So to make the claim that the reason why he doesn't say Hiruzen is because it's old man Hiruzen on the battlefield is just you objectively either forgetting what happens in this section of the story or just not knowing. again, I don't, like, you obviously have knowledge on this series, so I'm just going to chalk this up to a brain fart. But whenever you go on, let me just play this interaction all the way through.
Was revived, only Lord First can take him down. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my god, Madara was revived, only Lord First can take him down.
Madara's revived. Only Lord First can take him down. Old man Hiruzen's on the battlefield. It ain't Prime Hiruzen, son. Are we forgetting this? Like, this is the shit I'm talking about. I'm precogging him. I knew he was going to bring up Don. I see the future on these things, Sir. I predict it.
You knew I was going to bring up Don, and you predicted it, and yet your counterattack was not knowing that Hiruzen wasn't on the battlefield. Noodles, come on, brother. I just expect better, all right? I just expect better. I'm going to chalk this one up to a brain fart because I know that you know the series, but to say I'm precogging this, I knew it was coming. My argument is it was old man Hiruzen on the battlefield. So obviously he's not talking about Hiruzen. It's like, bruh, come on. All right. Do I want to go into the Shunshin thing? I don't really think it's really important. Noodles is right. Shunshin, the kanji Shunshin, Japanese word Shunshin, is used interchangeably between FTG and body flicker. That is the case. Now, in the Naruto website birthday columns, they're very, very particular on these. When it's Shunshin, or when it's body flicker, they're very clear about it. They translate it as teleportation jutsu or body flicker. When it's FTG, they translate it to FTG. When the Naruto website birthday column on Minato talks about Minato arriving to the battlefield, making use of his teleportation jutsu Shunshin. So the fact that they delineate and it's the same people writing those columns as it is writing the data books. It's the same company. So I think, anyways, I just think that increases likelihood that it is Shunshin. You then agreed that, here, let me just go play this. It's 2 hours, 1 minute, and 15 seconds. Because you do get this right.
So Minato is just faster, and actually,
I'll give him this. Shunshin and body flicker both use the same kanji sometimes. Like they'll use the kanji Shunshin interchangeably for body flicker and flying thunder god at certain points through the manga. But let's just say that this is body flicker like they're claiming. That would prove that Minato, when using body flicker, has faster run speed or travel speed than Tobirama, because that's what.
So my question is, if you're agreeing that he has a better body flicker, which again I can showcase likelihood as to why this is body flicker just with the Naruto website birthday columns. But if you're agreeing to that here, and we know Minato uses body flicker in combat, like off rip too, by the way. Let me see if I can grab this again. Up to bat, quite a smash, just like the yellow flash. I'm sure you're familiar with that. It might be under B. Let me see if it's in here. Good Lord, I haven't moved it over there yet. Do I want to go grab it? Okay, we're all familiar with the up the bat. Anybody who's watching this stream is probably familiar with the up to bat, quite a smash, just like the yellow flash statement from B. Up to bat is a baseball term. Quite a smash, just referring to a good hit, probably like a home run, just like the yellow flash. So you could say that's in terms of speed, right? You could also say it's in terms of stylistically. I think that's probably what it's in reference to. I can definitely, that's a lot to go into. But if he does use body flicker in combat and uses it off rip, as we see against Obito whenever he gets Naruto back from him, as we see multiple times throughout the series, then it's like the win con for Minato would be, unless Tobirama has seals, chapter 505, thank you. Unless Tobirama has seals on the battlefield, if Minato just has a faster body flicker, unless it would be weird, I think, and maybe you can drop a comment and let me know. The Iwad Nin thing is another thing. But maybe you can let me drop a comment and let me know why you think if he's faster at body flicker at one distance, he wouldn't be faster at body flicker at another. unless you just think he has better stamina, which I think is unlikely based on the fact that Tobirama's a Senju and they're... Oh, here we go. Was that teleportation jutsu, Shunshin, body flicker? We know it was body flicker. It wasn't FTG because he didn't have that. First at bat, quite a smash. That's just like the yellow flash, of course. The yellow flash. So what he's saying here, first at bat, quite a smash. It's a baseball term, right? When you step up to the plate, swinging for the fences is essentially what he's communicating here. So that would indicate that it's probably in terms of stylistically, if he's saying like, this is what he does to start a fight. So if that's the case, and you already agreed that Minato's body flicker is faster than Tobirama's, why doesn't he just body flicker kill off rip? That I was confused by that. Maybe you can drop a comment and let me know. But, okay, let's move on to the next mistake. Because that one wasn't really a mistake. It was just kind of like funny. 21142. Yo, Big Ounce with the 5. Thank you so much. Yo, Sage, is this death working on Big Naruto? Is this death working on Big Naruto versus One Piece video? Wondering. Oh, is this death? Or this is death. Fuck, I can't even read. Is a YouTuber, I imagine. Wondering if I can talk to you about it after stream. Shoot me a message on Discord. I'm going to be fairly busy today, but I had about 2 hours. So I wanted to hop on here and do this. So, check DM. Let's see. What's in my DMs? I haven't gotten a DM from you, Virtue. My dog. Anyways, I just want to fly through the rest of this. So, here we go. The next thing is Hashirama an even match for Madara. That's something that you said. You pointed to a scan that we put on screen, so like I think that's fair. I just want to show why it's in context to base Hashirama versus Madara with the Ninetails. Let me just play this. Oh shit! Did not mean. Oh okay, never mind. That wasn't me.
You're the only one who's an even match for me. Surfbomb, true.
Yeah, exactly, Six. That's kind of my argument as well.
Also, every single reincarnate of Indra and Ashura has been relative.
Correct.
Okay, so check this out. Naruto website birthday columns. Love these things. I'm so glad that they're putting out more canon material. Makes me very happy. Hashirama birthday column. This is cheese. I have a Hashirama video coming in the next couple months probably. But, okay. This right here. Hashirama fights back against Madara with the full force of his wood-style ninjutsu. He's in base here, and I'll increase that in just a second. Even with Madara controlling the Ninetails, the two are evenly matched, unleashing moves so intense that they alter the surrounding area. So, even with Madara controlling the Ninetails, they're evenly matched. It goes through the whole battle, right? Hashirama tries to talk Madara down, but when he realizes his friend is deaf to his words, he activates Sage Mode, unleashing even greater power. So they're not relative. These two are not equals, okay? Hashirama is equal to Madara plus the Ninetails. They fight evenly until he beats the brakes off of them with this. So, I just want to throw that out there for anybody watching. Like, this isn't necessarily a popular opinion because most people haven't. Yo, what's up, John? Appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. I'll check DM. This isn't a popular opinion because most people haven't read these, but it's like, bruh. No, Virtue, I never said that. It was chalked up to a maybe, but we'll talk about it. I'm open to it. It just has to be under certain conditions. So, where are we at? There we go. What else? What's the next mistake that we see on here? Oh, this is one that I'm very passionate about. My subscribers know this. Hashirama, or another thing, let me just pull it up. 21403. Let's just go there.
Struggled so bad with a 14-year-old Obito.
Ding, 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 ding. Nope, not 14 years old. There's a 4-year gap between Obito and Kakashi. We know this because not only in their data book profiles are they stated to have Kakashi graduated the academy at 5, Obito graduated the academy at 9, Kakashi became a Chunin at 6, Obito became a Chunin at 11. They participated in the Chunin exams together. So if they're the same age, that would mean that when Kakashi is getting his, and this is what they participate in the Chunin exams together when Kakashi is promoted. So, in order for them to be the same age, Obito would have had to have participated, in the Chunin exams with Kakashi 3 years before ever being promoted to Genin, before ever graduating the academy. So I just want to use this opportunity to educate some people on this. It should be $5.99. I'm tripping. So we see they're in the academy. This is actually a mistranslation. It's not the academy graduation. It's the academy admission, I believe. We see them Chunin exams, right? In the Chunin exams, see their team, right? Competing in the Chunin exams together. Gets his shit kicked in. Chunin exam stage 3 fight, and Kakashi beats guy, is promoted to Chunin at 6 years old. Okay? So at 6 years old, he's promoted to Chunin. Can you guys hear me? He said, is he silent? Oh. 6 years old, he's promoted to Chunin. If they competed in the Chunin exams together, that would mean that Obito's 6 this time as well, which would be before he's ever even promoted to Genin. So where we get there the same age from is from the data book 4 statement that shows like their war arc ages are the same, but that's an error which is later corrected in the Naruto website birthday columns, which again have these promotion and graduation ages correct. So this is an 18-year-old Obito. Doesn't make it that much better, but definitely not a 14-year-old Obito. There's a common misconception that a lot of people have that I've been very passionate about, so I wanted to take the time to cover that today. I talk about this in a bunch of different videos, so if you just randomly pick one of my videos, you'll probably have it. If you want to see a good breakdown of that, actually, the Naruto Canon Explained video goes over that. Minato one-shot Kurama poison. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so this is one that I really want to get into. 217.25. I got all these scans ready. 217.25.
Clash with and overpower a Virhtue bomb from the Ninetails as
Why is he poisoned? When did he get
Okay, why is he poisoned? Oh, actually, I'm gonna here.
poisoned?
further substantiate such a level in the one-shot Minato at the age of 15, while fatigued, poisoned.
Oh, he's talking about the one shot. Oh boy, it's not the one shot arguments. The one shot arguments are by far the worst.
Poisoned?
He got stabbed by Kushina. I don't know if that he's saying that the Ninetails chakra poisoned him or whatever, but this is just not a fucking feat again.
Okay, so Surfbone was very confused by this. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt here, Noodles, because you did kind of talk about it. You said, I want to say maybe because he got stabbed by the Ninetails, but I guess for Surfbone, let me just pull this up. The Ninetails chakra works as a poison when people are stabbed by it. So like Sakura, after getting like a tiny cut from it, half of the Ninetails, by the way, not the full Ninetails, like falls down, can't run. And then Yamato is like, the Ninetails chakra, like a poison, must have entered her body through her wounds. Like, bro. Which only makes Naruto's seeming immunity to that chakra even more astonishing. He's blown away that Naruto can sustain this because she's falling over because the Ninetails chakra acts like a poison. So, I guess for Surfbone, that's why he said that, because he stabbed through the chest. So, the next part, I think I just want to cover all of this, because basically the argument here boils down to they're in the mental scape, so it can't be scaled to like an actual fight. And also that like he didn't win the clash, and even if he did, it wasn't a full power Virhtue bomb. That's basically what it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Noodles, but that's basically what you said. So 496 through 497. This is where we get the indication that people entering someone else's mindscape are weaker. And we also get the full breakdown from B saying, yo, big ounce with a 10. Appreciate you, bro. Sage, personally, I don't use the Minato one-shot because Kushina was trying to seal it while it was trying to take the form of Bijou Bomb. Too shaky for me to use. I'll get to that in a second. The only statement about the Uzumaki sealing chain suppressing chakra comes from the anime. There's not one in the manga. She suppresses his movements in the manga. In the data book, it says it suppresses his movements, but the only statement about it suppressing chakra comes from the anime. Okay, so this is when they're getting ready to go in there. It says, how am I supposed to fight the Ninetails here? So he knows he's going to fight the Ninetails. And then he's like, fight the Ninetails? No way. He doesn't even have anything, he doesn't have to do anything excessive, does he? Do you really think you can achieve Bijou control without being excessive, you fool? He's saying, do you really think that you can take control of the Ninetails chakra without fighting him? Right? So this is a fight that takes place. It's in a mental scape. But it's not as if this fight isn't a real fight, and it's like some sort of author's indicator visual representation of the tug of war, which is what you said. It's set up so you can speak through Bijou in a specific way. Goes in here, explain normal manner. This is where I talk about the darkness. I came here, many generations, watch other plays, such tricks won't work. No, it's not. It says, no, I got you. I can get that for you. Here we go. The Uzumaki sealing chains. Never stated to suppress the chakra. I've got this in my server, I believe. The adamantine chains. Here, let me just slide over here real quick. This is a common misconception. Like, I was under this misconception as well, but that's just never what's stated. Open. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab this. Sorry, I should have had this on hand. Okay. Here we go. So, your response was, it's stated to suppress the Ninetails' power in the fourth data book. This is the fourth data book. It's a technique that Uzumaki Kushina used to restrain the Ninetails that was inside of Naruto. It's a powerful sealing technique, characteristic of the Uzumaki clan. The chains released from the body firmly bind the target and seal their movements. The chains boast an overwhelming firmness, and even the Ninetails can't destroy them easily. Also, Kushina, a former Jinchuriki, completely sealed the Ninetails with this power, and never once in her life it ran on Rampage. Even Karin, who's a member of the Uzumaki clan, was able to show a glimpse of this technique. Where does it say it seals his power or his chakra, suppresses any of it? It doesn't. It doesn't exist. The only statement for it suppressing chakra or suppressing power outside of literally pulling the Bijou into you or constraining or containing its movements is from the anime. Common misconception, not on you. All right. Here we go. Where was I at? Let's get these notes up. So not only that, they treat it as if it's a real fight all the time. Came here to gain power of the Ninetails. I have to do this. I'm not running away. Like, literally, B is like, he has to fight the Ninetails. Yo, big ounce. Thank you, bro. I appreciate the 5. You're killing it right now. Sorry I had to point this out from Noodles. It's stated to suppress the Ninetails' power in the fourth data book too. No, I just went over that. I think this is a little bit behind. I'm sorry that you had to spend $5 after I covered that. It just doesn't say that. So, also, let's say hypothetically, that's what it did say. Suppress the Ninetails' power. That's kind of vague. Because it could be suppressing his power by keeping him contained and keeping him unable to move. But yeah, so B treats it as a real fight. Naruto and Yamato treat it as a real fight. Then they go in and we see the fight. But the important thing is, sometimes it's about what's not said as opposed to what is said. So they go in here, goes to fight him, opens the seal, jumps back. And then B says, I want to help you fight, but stuck in your head, I got no might. So the implication that comes from this is that people entering someone else's mental scape would be weaker than the people in that mental scape, right? So B is weaker in Naruto's mental scape, which means Minato should be weaker in Kushina's mental scape. We get no such statements about that for the other people. I understand that's kind of an argument from ignorance. I don't want to make that argument that like just because it's not stated, it's not the case. But I do think that when we have multiple examples of somebody being weaker under particular circumstances, and we get statements of that on multiple occasions, you can probably build a precedence for if this is the case, statements usually follow. That being said, here, give me 1 second, Noodles. I'll read that in a second. That being said, if that's the case, if we can establish that there's a precedent for when people are weaker under certain conditions, it's stated, and it's not stated here, it's like if X, then Y, then the logic follows if X, then likely Y, then it's likely that if no Y, then unlikely X. Okay. Thank you for the 10, Noodles. I appreciate you. Says say, tisk, tisk, tisk. It's easy to argue against a man unable to defend himself. You know this. Bring that ass or Virtue Bum ass in here anytime on live stream. Have a good day, bud. I appreciate you for the 10, Noodles. I mean, you did that on stream that we replied to. The one I'm currently replying to. The one I'm currently reacting to. You literally did that. Like, you literally did that. So I'm just doing the same thing you did. If you want to send me that scan, you can. But yeah, okay. Here we go. I appreciate the 10 though. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, the next thing. No, I think that was basically it. Let me see. He can also like he can only go into sage mode in the mental scape once he goes into sage mode out here. So it's very clear that what happens in here is reflected, or what happens out here is reflected in here and vice versa. Hence the reason Minato gets fucked up afterwards. There's also, I think this is worth noting. Let me pull this up. I don't think that you were aware of this, because one of the arguments you made, let me let you make the argument really quick. 21954. I don't want to make your arguments for you. And let people know I'm not misrepresenting what you're saying.
Explosion goes off, and then Minato wakes up in the hospital. There's no proof he even won in the manga, bro.
There's no proof he even won in the manga. That's true. In the manga. But there is a direct statement that he did win the clash.
There's no proof he even won the clash.
Okay. No proof he even won the clash. Here we go. So, this is from V-Jump. The Ninetails took advantage of a gap in Kushina's heart, who became the second Jinchuriki. He tried to break the seal. Kushina was nearly consumed by hatred, but Minato, who would later go on to become the fourth Hokage, was able to resist and defeat him, sealing him inside of Kushina once more. So, if he's willing, or if he's able to resist and defeat him, and part of that fight was him clashing Bijou Bomb the Rasengan, if he's able to resist and defeat him, and he's responsible for sealing him back, he had to have won the clash. Very simple. I'm going to assume you weren't aware of that scan, which is totally fine. Most people aren't. Okay. Minato Hashirama. Oh, this one is one that I was really excited for. We're going to play this, I think, for like 2 minutes straight. You guys are going to listen to about 2 minutes of this. And then I'm going to address it. $223.56. Because this is just, it's good to have good translators.
Doesn't mean I actually whooped you. You know what I mean? But yeah, like he's augmenting the tetragram seal. This is most powerful shinobi, ranking alongside the first Hokage Hashirama. Unbelievable. This is a horrible mistranslation. Do we have proper translation, Surfmom?
I try to grab it real quick. Hold on.
I will look for it and see if I have it. He scanned, by the way. I believe there's a shinobi this powerful since the time of the first Hokage.
Okay, so the translation he got says, let's replay that.
Verbatim what he says. This is verbatim what he says.
Send it to me. So what is actually said, chat, is he can't believe there's a shinobi this powerful since the time of the first Hokage. That's what he actually says.
He can't believe there's a shinobi this powerful since the time of the first Hokage. I'm going to play this. You guys are going to hear them continue to play mine. I'm going to mention a kanji. That means generations. And then they're going to not understand the argument.
So he's not saying that he's as strong as Hashirama. He said he can't believe there's a shinobi like the power's not even in the scan, by the way. Power is not in the scan whatsoever, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even say power. It just says he can't believe there's a shinobi that's as talented since the first Hokage's era.
Yeah, since the first Hokage's era. That's the translation they have. All right?
Because
That's
what
still
Zero
around. Go ahead.
in terms of what the kanji says, he said, in context, it basically says, there is still such a shinobi since the time of Hashirama, the first generation. But
Yeah.
Since the time of Hashirama, the first generation. The only kanji in there that represents time is the kanji for generation. So whoever's making that claim is lying to you, or they don't understand what they're saying.
in a weird way in Japanese, it's literally a ninja since the time of the first Hokage, such a guy still. And he even talks about how the word caliber, which
Dealing too. It's not in context of being just a powerful bait at who he's referring to. He's just saying that this is the most talented.
also, by the way,
Let's try to stop pausing.
Just,
Just keep going though. Give it to me.
Yep.
Wag first reacted to the manga. He was going crazy about the. There's a good 60%.
To be confident in doing more had he needed to, despite this being a move that matches.
Where's the next part at? I just want to get to this next part. 236.53. Damn. 36.53? Oh my good lord. They stay on this for a fat minute. Okay, so they misinterpret what I say here, but I'm going to show you guys receipts really quick.
Grama's just not even actually saying he's like Hashirama level. He just can't believe that there's a shinobi this with this much talent and ceiling since the era of Hashirama.
So again, you guys have heard their translation multiple times.
Oh god, bro.
First generation, fourth generation, the kanji is the same. So it is referring to, the first Hokage, not the first Hokage's generation. Just because it says first generation in the direct translation doesn't mean it's Hokage's generation. It's not the first generation. So yeah,
This is all just fucking nonsense. Like
he actively talks about what his Japanese translator told him, and that it literally translates to first generation, and then actively misconstrues his own translation to overwrite it.
No, you just don't understand how Japanese works. Okay, so glad that they said that. All right, we have that translation here. Here we go. This is the translation done by somebody who is licensed to teach Japanese in Japan, right? A shinobi he's enhancing the four symbol seal in his own unique way. A shinobi like him, not since the first generation Hashirama. I can't believe someone like him still exists. It doesn't say not since the time of Hashirama, not since the generation of Hashirama. It says not since first generation Hashirama. Shodai, these two kanji here. Remember this one right here? Anybody who's been here this whole time? You guys remember this kanji I pointed to earlier? Whenever I was referring to successive generations. If you don't remember, allow me to pull this up. Allow me to jog your memory. This kanji right here, this second one, right? Ages, eras, generation. That's what this means. This kanji means generation. All right? Shodai refers to Hashirama with this title. Shodai, meaning first generation, not Hashirama's generation as a whole. This is mirrored in how Hashirama calls Minato fourth generation, meaning for the Yodame, meaning fourth generation or just fourth. Don't worry, we've got scans. Hashirama referring to Minato, this kanji right here, he calls him fourth Hokage here in the translation. In the Viz translation, this says fourth Hokage. Fire, Shadow, those kanji are not here. This is just how they refer to them sometimes. You want more proof? Please someone clip this. Holy shit, I'm cooking. This kanji, generation, go ahead and look up what this title says. It says third Hokage. Third generation. Right? This right here just changed. So basically, my translator told me that the reason why this is added on is because it changes the pronunciation of it. Basically, this kanji sounds like the Japanese word for death. So in order to not have that be that way, they add this one on there to change the pronunciation of the word. So this kanji for generation is present for the third, for the first, so for the third, for the first, in that translation, and for the fourth. That's just how they fucking refer to them. So no, it's not saying a shinobi since Hashirama's generation. Hashirama's name, they are referring to him as Shodai, right? Oh my god, someone clip that. We're cooking. All right, what do we got next? I was really excited for that one. Oh, the next one's pretty interesting too. This one, is just not knowing the series. 231 through 23207. So 231, let's go back in time.
Intercept his paw strike, things like that. Grombo, someone stated equals with Hashirama's wood constructs, which are kind of faster than themselves.
What?
Minato would be equals
Where?
With also completely blitz through and intercept his paw strike, things like that. Grombo, someone stated equals with Hashirama's wood constructs, which are
He must be talking about Wood Golem there. Has to be, right? Wood Golem's not equal, though. Like, the Wood Dragons were binding him up.
Wood Golem's not equal, right?
If he's talking about the Wood Dragons, the Wood Dragons, were binding the Ninetails up, and the Ninetails was breaking some of them, so I can understand those being, relative. But, the Wood Golem bodied it, so, Wood Golem above, his wood constructs are stronger.
But didn't he state that there is a statement that says that they're equal? Replay what he said.
Minato, when using body flicker, can also completely blitz through and intercept his paw strike, things like that. Grombo, someone stated equals with Hashirama's wood constructs.
That's never stated.
Never stated. All right. Check this out. Wood Golem, Data Book 4. It's really nice when you can come with receipts. An advanced ninjutsu that the god of ninja, Senju Hashirama, specializes in. By giving chakra, the trees grow rapidly and become a gigantic creature. The giant body excels in attack and defense and is especially good at physical combat. Utilizing its large size, it fought evenly with Madara's Ninetails. Fought evenly with Madara's Ninetails. Okay. Never stated, though. What else do we have? We already went through that. Let's see. Yeah, you did make that Wood Golem scan. You sent that to me, Cameron. I appreciate that. The GOAT. Cameron also is somebody who's really good to go through for translations. All right. Minato daze. So I'm just going to address whether or not the daze exists. Because they kind of poke fun at it and act as if it's not a thing. 238.
Statement. So neither you can't say he's as powerful as Hashirama, you can't say he's of the same caliber as Hashirama. He just can't believe that there's such a shinobi like this existence.
Conclusion.
Oh, he doubles down on this again, by the way.
That's what it actually says. There's nothing in there that implies he's equal to Hashirama. This is all just reach bullshit to try and either you can't say he's as powerful as Hashirama, you can't say he's of the same caliber as Hashirama. He just can't believe that there's such a shinobi like this exists since the era of Hashirama.
Gotta get a better translator, buddy.
That's what it actually.
God, I love having a good translator. Makes me so happy. All right.
days through most of the war due to just.
Oh, he was dazed. He was dazed through most of the war. Yeah, here comes the fucking crybaby ass bullshit. You're assuming all that shit. Yeah, his daze is totally making up for that whole fucking Ninetails inside of his body with a measurable chakra. He's dazed. He's not snappy like that. He's crying.
Okay, so what would a daze affect? A daze, like absent-mindedness, effectively, would affect your ability to react to things and respond to things. Doesn't affect like his power output. I don't think. Maybe you could say maybe being like absent-minded would which if you go to Jisho, that kanji directly translates to that. But I'm going to show you what it actually translates to using a monolingual dictionary called Gu Dictionary. It's what Hobbes uses in order to translate his stuff because, he understands Japanese. So have a good night. Have a good day, Spicy. Here we go. Where's this translation at? Minato Daze Stupor translation. So using a monolingual dictionary, right? The most accurate thing you're going to get for a Japanese word is to use a Japanese dictionary, right? His beloved disciple's appearance was terribly changed beyond all recognition, with his own sin of being unable to see the true face beneath the mask on that day. What invigorated Minato from his stupor was his son Naruto, who had grown into a first-rate shinobi. Father and son joined fists and opposed the threat to the shinobi world. That talks about this happens whenever they bump fists. We see it in the manga as well. We also, it just tells us in this. But this is what's important. People are like, oh, really, how dazed is he? How out of his mind is he? Soshin means to be dazed as if your soul had left your body. That's what that means. So he's so absent-minded that it's as if he's not even there. He's essentially fighting on reflex for part of that time. Now, there are moments where he kind of locks back in a little bit, it appears, but he never really gets back to being at his full power and his full focus capacity until the fist bump happens. Six said, I don't think the whole he's in KCM, how much could the nerf, or how big the nerf, yeah, I agree. It doesn't really matter because what we're talking about isn't his AP or his durability. We're talking about his reaction speeds. We're talking about his ability to utilize things effectively in combat like he normally would. All this does is make Minato more impressive. If he's able to compete at all while having a verifiable daze that's likened in Japanese to as if your soul had left your body, it just means that he's more impressive. That's all it is. So, yeah, to cast doubt on the daze is crazy. But, all right, let's see. We're almost done, guys. Minato, well, okay. 244.29. We're getting to the end. 244.29.
Which one caught Naruto's fist?
Oh, okay. So this is where he says, oh, I did not mean to slide this to the left.
To catch Naruto's fist, except Minato can hit.
Here, let's just back this up a little bit.
Capable of reacting to and actually being faster than.
Yeah, exactly. Six. If you're distracted at all, it's very difficult. Now imagine you're so distracted, it's as if your soul had left your body.
Sage mode Naruto whilst both were amped up.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Let's see that feat.
Had these constructs and these arms shooting out, and then one of them is actually able to catch Naruto's fist, except Minato can hit.
Which one caught Naruto's fist?
Okay, you would know if your big ass logo wasn't right here. This is chapter 645. Pull this up. This might be my best live stream ever, I'm not gonna lie. Came prepared. Okay. It's right there. Right on the edge of the panel. This right here. This part right here. It's not his fist, to be fair. It's his tail. But the difference between what's going on in these interactions is kind of crazy. So basically, Minato has two arms coming after him. He blocks one of them and slaps away the other one. Naruto has one coming after him. He knocks it to the side and then it grabs onto his tail. Now, I personally think that these two are clearly relative in this. They're both reacting to these same things in a similar way. They're both thrusting this Rasengan forward together, all that. But the reason you couldn't tell that this was happening is because your logo's on there. So, let's see. What was next? I think we've got... Oh, this was egregious. 246.15.
Give me senjutsu.
Naruto adds senjutsu.
No.
All right. So Naruto amped Minato with chakra, by the way.
Naruto amped Minato. right? By the way, have a good one, Six. I'm almost done, by the way, guys. So we got like 4 more things on here. The the argument they're making is that Naruto is amping Minato with senjutsu, therefore they're not relative, right? The argument here from us is we always base this around speed, like their combat speed, but also they are combo attacking. But Virhtue and I have never claimed that their AP is exactly the same, just that they're relative in terms of combat speed in these avatars. So it's weird to make that argument unless you're claiming that the senjutsu is amping his speed and reactions, which is stupid. So here we go.
Both combining chakra at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Naruto, give me senjutsu.
Naruto adds senjutsu to Rasengan. Oh, wait. What?
Okay. He says, Naruto, add senjutsu to the Rasengan. He doesn't say, give me senjutsu. He says, add senjutsu to the Rasengan. Why in the world do you take from that Minato's physicals and reactions and all that? Why are we saying that he's getting like a senjutsu amp? Why is Minato being amped here? That's totally unsubstantiatable. You could say that the AP of the Rasengan goes up, sure, but we're not scaling his AP. So, yeah, like a senjutsu enhanced Rasengan is going to be stronger. But to say Minato himself is being amped by senjutsu being added to the Rasengan, not to him, not to the avatars, to the Rasengan, bad. Really bad. Especially because then when you look here, he's not in Sage mode. He doesn't have the pigment. He doesn't get any Sage mode enhancements here outside of the senjutsu going into the Rasengan. So to say that he's amped here is either disingenuous or having a misunderstanding of what's going on. Okay, what's next? Tobirama responsible for attacking Jubito. One of the things, I'll just let this play. He does get pretty excited. It's kind of funny here. I will say, Noodles is entertaining. Makes me laugh.
Who is that, chat? Who's that? Wait a minute. Wait. Is that who I think it is? What? No way. What's that? Wow. It's almost like that's a feat for Tobirama. They didn't actually hit Jubito. They needed Tobirama to teleport them at Jubito to throw their attack. Holy fuck. Also, Naruto by this point has already been stated to have long surpassed Minato in terms of controlling Ninetails chakra.
I mean, he's actively asking Naruto to...
I mean, that genuinely helps the case of Minato. If they're relative and Naruto's better at controlling his chakra, then that just helps.
Give him senjutsu, despite the fact that people...
So he's better at Sage mode, he's better at Ninetails chakra, and Tobirama's teleporting them to hit Jubito. Some pretty interesting oversights in this argument, bro.
Tobirama popping up during a Minato feat like Hero Bride.
Yeah, it's almost like every single time anybody hit Jubito, it was because Tobirama tagged him with a fucking seal.
Okay, so the only time anybody hit him was because Tobirama was able to place a seal on him while getting ran through. And he's the only one with a seal on him. Yes. Mm-hmm. The only... The only way they were able to tag him is because he's the only one. The reason why Tobirama was so valuable in this fight is because he's the only one who had a seal on Jubito. Mm-hmm. That doesn't change anything for the argument. It is true that he was valuable because Minato didn't have a seal on Tobirama. That's it. Sick. Okay. Okay, Hokage Kakashi versus DMS. I have a whole video going over Hokage Kakashi scaling. This has already been an hour and 40 minutes. I could just play it if you guys want. I will say 257.42. So the argument that I make, right, is that Kakashi goes relative to Koji. Koji goes relative to 10% base Jigen. I then make the argument that it's likely that this 10% number is in reference to his full power, including Karma 2, not just like he's at 10% of his base. substantiate that with the idea that whenever he goes into Karma 2 is when his body starts breaking down, meaning that he's like pushing himself beyond his limits. So, but we see no signs of that whenever he's in base. So the basis for that would be that he's, whenever you refer to somebody at a certain percentage of their power, usually, like generally, that's going to be in reference to their full power. So it's already kind of lending likelihood to it in that perspective. And then number 2, we see evidence that his body starts to break down when he goes into the Karma 2. I can actually just pull up this interaction, I think. I think I've got it. Basically ready to rock. Yeah, here we go. So they fight. Shoots a fireball, shrinks it, blah, blah, blah. In base, calls it unpleasant, whatever. But the point is, I was never, let me just preface this. I was never scaling him to him in terms of AP, just speed. So I said he's relative to Kashi and Koji. Kashi and Koji relative to base 10% Jigen. 10% base Jigen, and his base shouldn't change if it's in reference to his overall power, based on the fact that the only statements that we get for people's combat speed being lowered noticeably in the manga is whenever they're almost out of chakra. So it's like we'd have to quantify why that means almost out, and like that why that's what Sasuke is referring to when he talks to Data and all that stuff. It's a really muddy argument, but you would be really hard pressed to prove that him being at 10% of his total capacity would actually lower his physical speed. And that's the scale. So the physical speed is the scale. Now, I know Noodles he hasn't read Boruto, gonna get paid for it, which is crazy. But I think that's why maybe he didn't understand what I was saying, like that I was just scaling him in terms of speed, not AP, which is fine. But going relative to Kashi and Koji, who then here goes relative to Jigen, right? He doesn't have to harm him. He just has to be able to react to him. He blocks attack, dodges attack, gets his attack blocked. Then we have like multiple attacks going on, right? They're both reacting to each other just fine. So base Jigen and base Koji are scaling to one another. That's the point. So if Kakashi physically in terms of speed scales to Koji, and Koji in terms of speed scales to Jigen, and Jigen in terms of speed kicks Naruto through the chest and forces him, base Naruto, and forces him to go into 6-path stage mode to fight him, that would put Hokage Kakashi in terms of speed above the likes of base Hokage Naruto. That's the argument. So it was never that he has better AP than him. It's just he's faster. Let's see. I think that's basically it. If you guys want to see the Kakashi scaling, I have a whole video on it. I have Hokage Kakashi versus Hashirama. I take a low-end interpretation, a middle ground interpretation, and then a higher end. Oh, the other thing. Let me see. The other thing was the strongest teacher statement. I want to 259.20. I don't want to misrepresent what he's saying, so I want to make sure that we get this.
Base should be the same as it was whenever he kicked Naruto through his chest in the Karma 2 state, which we have a good basis for that because that's when his body starts breaking down. Honestly, being relative to Kashi and Koji in the anime, who's relative to base Jigen. Now, people will push back on that because they have 10% Jigen. Well, 10% of his total power, which includes the Karma 2
10% Jigen that didn't lose a single scuffle against Kashi and Koji. By the way.
Yeah, that you guys understand why in terms of speed that's not important. As long as they're able to react to each other and like keep up with each other physically, if it's speed scaling, that's what matters, and it was speed scaling. So him not losing a scuffle doesn't really matter.
I didn't get damaged by him. Terrible argument.
Which we have a good basis for that because that's when his body starts breaking down. So he's using the Karma 2 state, not when he's in base. So his base should be the same as it was whenever
There
he
is a
kicked Naruto
numerical
through his
statement. He
chest.
just mentioned it's in the anime, not the manga.
It is in the manga. It's a couple chapters. It's the chapter before the fight, Noodles, in case you ever look for that again. In the chapter before the fight, when Koji is walking towards the battlefield. Let me pull this up. I know you don't read Boruto, so like I don't expect you to know this. But yeah, it's before the fight. I have the individual scan. I just want to show you because it's like a flashback. It's either the chapter before or like one of the chapters before. It's like a tiny panel off to the right. Yeah, so it's not this chapter, I don't think. I have the individual scan. I can just put it on here, but I want to show you what chapter it's in case you have to grab it in the future. Good lord. Okay, yeah, so it's not this chapter. It's like right before. We get like a little shot of Koji going to encounter Jigen. I probably need to know this chapter as well. This is when he shuts down Delta, big time. Good luck to you as well, reverse summoning. I might just have to post the individual scan. Because I know it's in the chapters leading up to it, but these chapters are all so fucking long. Here, let me just grab the individual scan. I got you. But it is in the manga. Jigen. Please tell me I have it near. There we go. There it is. Jigen is recharging in the back. He hasn't even regained 10%. So, it is in the manga. But that being said, both are canon, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, let's keep going.
Basically, one tapping and forcing to go into 6 pass save mode. So we have a guy in
Any good
Kakashi
points been made so far? Virtue?
Relatively
This
big
video's
guy,
dog
base
shit,
Jigen,
bro.
makes
Straight
very
up,
low
it's terrible.
who's massively above base Hokage Naruto. So
I wish I could say
Kakashi
something good
above
about
base
it.
Hokage Naruto.
Like,
So Kakashi, Naruto
pause
has
it real
to
quick.
take this verse.
Maybe I'm being too harsh. There was a wood clone
Yeah, like-
argument that I agreed with earlier. You said something
Like,
about the wood clones.
Virtue.
I think there was one more thing I wanted to... Maybe that was it. Maybe it was the 10% Jigen thing. Yeah, I think that's basically it, though. So, just to review, these are all the notes that I went over. Oh, if you guys want to watch the Hokage Kakashi scaling, go check. Oh, no. That's what it was. Oh, yeah, very important. So, strongest teacher. Why is my extended hard drive not? Working. Kakashi, strongest and greatest is what it says. There we go. All right. So this is the translation. Because I bring it up later on, and you basically say, here, let me just... I
People have
wonder...
been saying some stuff in chat about what your real opinions.
Fuck. It was bait, too. Twitter, BC.
It would just be better for your channel if
Agree with one placement.
Well, at one point in the video, you said that... one point in the video, you said that this was a mistranslation. It's not. So I've got it here on screen. It does say the strongest and greatest teacher has returned. You said you're... Oh, shit. You said you're pretty positive it only says greatest. It just says strongest and greatest. These... Yeah. I believe it's these two kanji. Let me see. Strongest. Yeah, most strong. Yeah, so these two. These two kanji just mean strongest. And then highest, most high translates to greatest. Just these ones. You then said in the video that it could just mean he's the strongest at teaching. I would say that's unlikely due to how this is most generally used. This kanji for strongest is most generally used when talking about like the strongest nations, like the strongest army. Like Japan has the strongest, whatever. Or the United States has the strongest military. There are other kanji that are used for like aptitude in something. This is not how this is generally used. So it is more likely that that's what this is in reference to. I don't think it's in reference to Sasuke, although it can be, because literally 2 novels before this one, this is the Kakashi Retsuden novel, 2 novels before this is the Sasuke Shinden teacher and star pupil novel, so he is a teacher. But we have so many other statements that just like call him, so many other statements that just like call Sasuke and Naruto like the strongest. So I don't think this necessarily puts him above them, but he's already above base Hokage Naruto via the Koji scaling. So that's it. I think we did a good job. I want to get to some chats for like 5 minutes. Isn't this similar to Toneri, who's said to be the strongest enemy? Kind of, in the sense that it is in like promotional material. However, this is in promotional material that's like it's on the canon material. You know what I mean? So the Toneri statement comes from like a movie guide, like a promotional movie like magazine guide that isn't even verifiably canon. It's literally just something that they put out to promote the movie. Versus like this is on the novel. Let's see. You don't know the full extent of my knowledge. Okay, bro, you ain't the final. Good lord. Yeah, I think we cooked. Hokage Kakashi video is fun, but thank you so much. It's one of my favorite ones. There are a lot of people who still underrate Hokage Kakashi, so. Thanks, Virhtue and Sage, they cast for your audience. All right. Yeah. Maybe that puts Hokage Kakashi above base Sasuke. Yeah, I think it would be above. Well, the thing about like base Sasuke that's weird is like his base literally has like his base is him with the Rinnegan. So like he doesn't like power up into a new form. So like base Sasuke, quote unquote, would be like just full power Sasuke. Whereas like base Naruto is not full power Naruto, you know? So base Sasuke is a weird one. But yeah, I think like no Rinnegan abilities Sasuke. But all right, guys. Well, I've got a gym to go hit. I got some editing to do, and I got some work to do. So I'm gonna hop off here. I think we did a solid job of covering everything. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Noodles, if you'd like to respond, feel free. Obviously, here is just as a final recap the notes that I had on this. All of the things that I corrected on here. If you ever want to, look at, let's move these to the side just in case I don't want to be giving away videos. If you guys ever want to, let's move this over here. If you guys ever want to like go back and look at like everything that was corrected in the timestamps of the video, this is it. So here's in More Talented due to nature releases. Tobirama has 5 nature releases. It was not the art book. It was the anime profile guides. TSO speed argument, flight speed greater than running speed, or at least relative. Guy runs, not flies. The physics argument, paper bombs, Tobirama having paper bombs in himself. Konohamaru over Hiruzen. Hiruzen's strongest translation. Calling into question the value and credibility of reputation statements based on the knowledge. This one's one we didn't even address. Hiruzen compared to the Sage 6 Pass, that wasn't the argument. I was just demonstrating that to show that like he wasn't interacting with it. The Dan argument about how, you know, Dan should know about how strong they are. And Hiruzen wasn't on the battlefield at that time. There's between Shunshin and FTG. Hashirama not being evenly matched with Madara. Kakashi Obito age gap. Minato one shot. Poison chains. Mindscape. These are just all the things. The Wood Golem. The Hashirama Minato translation. Naruto amping Minato. Yeah. Then the Kakashi stuff. Like these are just all the things that I went over that I thought were valuable to cover. As to hopefully dispel any misinformation. Not an attack on Noodles or Surfbone. Just thought that we needed some corrections on there. So, you know, wish them nothing but the best. But, you know, gotta do what I gotta do. You know what I mean? So, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna go get this lift in. So, yeah, you guys have a good one. And